Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, One Piece chapter 946 is out. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so because I will be spoiling you. But now that you have, let's begin. So yeah, you guys already know that I love this chapter, although there's certain things about it that I could understand people not liking in general, as general directions that Oda has taken the story. But I'm sort of like taking in this moment, really like everything that's going on and the community's reaction to it. And it's beautiful to me because there's like this very, very slow realization amongst the people of the community. I mean, it's like some people realize, a couple years ago, some people realize a couple months ago, some people are realizing after this chapter, Big Mom is going to be an ally. It seemed as though after Big Mom lost her memories, there was quite a few people who jumped on the side that Big Mom would be an ally, but only while she didn't have her memories. It'd be in like a temporary capacity, and then she would go on to be in another arc like Elbaf or something and go back to being an enemy. Big Mom, as the 70-year-old she is with her memories, would still never be an ally of the Strats because she's too evil. She hates the Strats too much. And I think people are really starting to see the other side of Big Mom that Oda has been very, very low-key about for years now. I said this in a video recently. I'm going to go ahead and say it again here because I think that it is even more relevant after the recent events in the chapter. If you want to understand Big Mom and what Big Mom is doing, what Big Mom's motives are, what she is trying to accomplish, think from the lens of how Big Mom believes that she may be helping or being good to other people. I think that there's still some that don't fully understand this, but the Big Mom that we can see in this chapter is not just Big Mom as she was a child, not just Big Mom without her memories acting like when she was a child. This is Big Mom as an adult with her memories as well. Certainly there is a difference between childhood Big Mom, pure innocent Big Mom, and what she is when she's older, but many of the things are exactly the same. You want an example of what Big Mom is doing right now? We've seen her do this very same thing before, although it was not explained like it was in this chapter. In this chapter, Big Mom decided to attack Luffy and attack Queen because she was mad because yes, she wanted the Oshiruko, but she also wanted to give the Oshiruko to those nice people who fed her from the town of leftovers. Back at the beginning of Whole Cake Island, we learned that Big Mom destroyed a country for the sake of sweets. Again, if you want to understand Big Mom, if you want to understand her motivation for anything that she might do in the story, think from the lens of how it is that she perceives that she is helping other people or doing good unto other people. The food that these countries promise to Big Mom in Whole Cake Island, Big Mom is not the only person who eats them. Big Mom is sharing this experience, these sweets which she loves, it's almost like sacred to her, with her friends, her family, and everybody who lives in Totland. And in fact, Totland is Big Mom's paradise, and I think beyond Big Mom's paradise, I think it's an actual paradise outside of some things like her rages, which she cannot control. Have you ever heard, in this story, have you ever heard of people actually paying money to be fed food there? No, you've never heard of it. The only thing that the citizens there pay is a bit of their lifespan so that Big Mom can essentially amass defenses for the country itself. How they acquire food is Big Mom basically agrees to defend certain countries. They agree to send Totland food, and that helps make Big Mom's dreams a reality. And in Big Mom's own mind, her dreams make the world a better place. She is doing good onto the world by creating this paradise. Or at the very least, in her mind, she is doing good unto the people that live there. So it is in fact very, very bad if people do not send Totland food that they have agreed to, that Big Mom has essentially paid for with her flag in their country. So as she destroys these countries which have agreed to send her food but do not do so, she attacks Luffy and Queen for taking away the food from the people that she had wanted to share it with. Almost everything bad that Big Mom does comes back to how she thinks that she is making the world a better place. Attacking the Vinsmoke, that entire plan. The Vinsmokes are warmongers. To Big Mom, fighting is bad. It's something that she specifically says as a child, and even says it later in life to her own children. The Vinsmokes are bad people, so Big Mom does not feel bad killing them and acquiring their technology to improve her paradise and make the world a better place. You can go on down the line. But I'm not saying that she is perfect or in some way not flawed, because she is very flawed. Big Mom's ideal is everybody getting along. If you point to the turning point in Big Mom's life, I think that you'd have to look back at what Oda showed us in Big Mom's own flashback, her childhood flashback in the middle of Whole Cake Island. There was a scene with a bear and a wolf, which I've gone over on numerous occasions, and essentially Big Mom just wanted the bear and the wolf to get along, so she put them in the same cage stupidly, as though that would work. Of course it's not going to work, but that's what she decided to do. The intentions were good. Then the bear killed the wolf. Big Mom has a temper. That is undeniably true. She then punished the bear, not intending to kill the bear, but she punished the bear with one hit, but she is so absurdly strong that she killed it. Mother Carmel then walks in and sees what has occurred and is afraid of Big Mom, afraid to tell Big Mom that she has done wrong. Big Mom is there crying, knowing that she has done something wrong, and Mother Carmel says, well, this is alright because your intentions were good. You are the kindest of all. And I think that Big Mom learned something in this moment which probably changed her life. She learned that it's okay to kill people if your intentions are good. And this was most likely only exacerbated with her later parental figure of Stroizen, who essentially just wanted to conquer the world with Big Mom at his side and most likely told Big Mom that all sorts of things were okay in pursuit of her dreams. So this is what you gotta understand about Big Mom. In Big Mom's mind, she is out to make the world a better place. She is out there to do good. She is the kindest of all. And anybody else who would be good would listen to her and follow her. Big Mom knows best. And if they do not, then Big Mom perceives them to be bad people, and in her mind, it is okay to kill bad people if your intentions are good. But anyway, guys, what I'm telling you is, yes, older Big Mom is different from younger Big Mom. There's no doubt about that. But they are not completely different people, and they are motivated in these same ways. This thought that Big Mom had in this chapter, that she wants to share the Oshiruko with all those nice people from the town of Leftovers because they were so kind to her, that's not something that older Big Mom would not also have. So I'm telling you guys right now, unless something changes between the relationship of Big Mom and the citizens of Wano, regardless of whether or not Big Mom gets her memories back, she would be willing to fight for them. They are her friends now, and unless they specifically betray her, like for instance on her own crew, if you tried to leave Toddlin, you tried to leave her crew, or if you're like Lola, you sabotaged her plans to make the Giant's Alley, unless something like that happens, then I think that Big Mom would do a lot for Wano. Because Big Mom is always thinking through the lens of how she can help others, in her own narrow-minded, selfish, and childish way. And so I've been saying over the last few weeks, and I just feel it, so I'm going to say it again, I just love all of this little insight into Big Mom's character, all this clarification that Oda is giving us about her and who she is, and her interactions with everyone. It's just great. I think that there are a lot of people in the community that are either very hyped up or very pissed off about the Big Mom versus Queen fight, depending on if that makes sense with their own headcanons, about how strong these characters should be or their portrayal in some way. But it's Big Mom's personality and her role in the story going forward that excites me the most. Obviously, right now, Big Mom is very pissed off at Luffy. It's actually something we specifically speculated in the Chapter 941 review, where we were talking about, well, Luffy actually ate the Oshiruko, and maybe he just like brazenly says it, and that triggers Big Mom. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But I don't think that it's going to take too much to calm Big Mom down if that is what Oda desires to do. So obviously Luffy right now is viewing this fight as training, and so Big Mom needs to stay in this angry state for that training to make sense at all. But I think all it's going to take is Tama to come up to Big Mom and tell her to stop for Big Mom to actually stop. And then from there to proceed to have a dialogue with Luffy to come to an understanding of what occurred. Guys, Big Mom understanding Luffy is like a vitally crucial thing in my mind. We spent this entire review talking about how Big Mom just wants to do good unto others and how she can be kind and all of that. If Big Mom comes to understand who Luffy is, there is no reason to fight him at all. They're on the same team with mostly the same objectives. This is one of the biggest things surrounding Big Mom, but in Big Mom's mind, right, she knows best. She is the one who's going to make a world a better place, and everyone needs to follow along and listen to her. And she's like a child, really. The world revolves around her, and she sees, what would Big Mom do? What is it that Big Mom wants? That's what other people want. A great example is that she's getting this Oshiruko for this entire village because she thinks this is going to be the greatest thing for them. But in reality, and it is a good thing, but in reality, this is literally Big Mom thinking about how much she would like Oshiruko, and she thinks, she projects her thoughts onto everyone else. They would like it just as much as I would. And so what it is that I think that Big Mom has failed to understand, and something that I think that is important for her to understand by the end of Wano, is that other people have dreams, and other people can have the same dreams as her and achieve it in different ways. And so if Tama and Chopper and Kiku and whoever else calmed down Big Mom, and she actually has a conversation with Luffy, and Tama tells her that Luffy is her hero, he is her savior, and that he has done all of these good things for Wano, Big Mom is going to like Luffy. And just the same as her relationship with the citizens of Wano and the town of Leftovers, I highly suspect that when Big Mom gets her memories back, she will retain the memories that she has accumulated during her time in Amnesia. And I think that they are going to greatly confuse her. Big Mom has all this time thought of Luffy as somebody who was selfish, who is a pirate who just wants to hurt people and destroy her own dreams. Try to destroy her paradise. Their very first interaction, Luffy challenges her to a fight and claims that he has eaten all of the food. All of the food that was supposed to go to her, her family, her friends, and the entirety of Totland. And of course, we understand that this isn't Luffy, that Big Mom has judged him wrong, but Big Mom has to discover that herself. And understanding this would completely change their relationship, aside from many of the other things would completely change their relationship. But yeah, now let's talk about some of the things that I think that some people may not like about this chapter. So yeah, Big Mom versus Queen. I'm sure that there are several people out there who do not like this for power scaling reasons. They think Big Mom should be stronger or Queen should be stronger. I guess where I'm at is just get over it, man. Like, Oda writes the story. He understands how strong these characters are more than anybody else in the community. He's the one who decides these things, and frankly, it just makes sense to me. There's nothing in the story which contradicts the difference in power level. Big Mom is absurdly strong. Queen even seems, towards the end of this chapter, to not actually be fully knocked out. Big Mom didn't use any named attacks. They seem to be pretty generic attacks. This all worked for me. But I guess a more valid reason for people to not like this is the way that Big Mom is being used. Essentially right now, Big Mom is interjected in the story to save the Strats from a situation that they presumably could not have gotten out of on their own. I think that a lot of people would have liked to see Luffy get out of this himself, rather than Big Mom essentially solve all of their problems, right? Like, she freed Killer and Kid, she broke open Kawamatsu's cell, she defeated Queen. All of Kaido's subordinates seem to be running at this point in time, and you're left with Luffy and Big Mom for training. There was other ways in which Oda could have chosen to pursue this, and I do not think that this is the most exciting. As always, it usually comes back to expectations. Expectations ruin everything, and I think that people expected more from the prison arc. They expected it to be more important, but what it has turned out to be is essentially training and comedy exclusively with very, very little stakes. And I think that is counter to the impression that Oda gave us when we first came to the prison. I'm not going to say that anybody's wrong for having these thoughts or these criticisms. It could be very different. Ultimately, guys, this is my thoughts on this. Ultimately, I think that the power scaling of One Piece, and specifically the power level of the Yonko, may not have been handled exactly right, and may have drastically changed the direction of the story since the end of Whole Cake Island. Oda's on record in an interview from I think 2015 or 2016 in which he said he didn't know how Luffy was going to be able to defeat Kaido. The difference between the Yonko and everybody else is just absurd. And there's only so much story finagling that you can do in order to make these fights in the future make sense and have for Luffy to even be able to compete with them in the slightest. Queen, a Yonko commander, presumably the second strongest person in Kaido's crew, was just defeated in 2 hits by Big Mom. For all this to make sense, Luffy has to get considerably stronger, and what that has led to is essentially continuous training since the end of Whole Cake Island. The Luffy Katakuri fight was 100% a training arc. The same is true of Luffy versus Kaido. It's more of like a setting the difference between the two, and now Luffy is back to training within the prison. This is all to make their fights later make sense. It's obviously there for a reason. But for a lot of people, and I would say myself included, training fights are not as exciting as legitimate fights. Even if the Luffy Katakuri fight seemed legitimate for a long time, all it was training. So yeah, I do think that it's fair to say that maybe Oda made the Yonko too powerful, and it's taken away, at least in some small way, from the story that we're actually reading right now. So yeah, I guess this leads us nicely into Luffy's power-up, his improved haki from this last chapter. And guys, we'll start off with, I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what this is. I just assume that this is the force haki that Luffy has been trying to master since the middle of the prison arc. If the normal armament that we are accustomed to is hardening and it makes one's body hard like steel, then the force haki would make someone stronger, not only in their punches, but they could also project that force outside of their palm. All we really know here is that Luffy crushing iron is not a normal thing, not something that he would normally be able to achieve, and I do think that it makes sense as being a feat of force haki. Maybe we can think of it as attack armament haki as opposed to defense armament haki. The pressure of the force amplifies Luffy's innate strength, allowing him to crush iron. And ultimately what this is going to lead to is deal damage to a Yonko such as Kaido or Big Mom. So guys, my feeling after this chapter, and I think that if we end up getting this in the next couple chapters, this will be another very divisive chapter that a lot of people won't like, but I could seriously see Luffy doing damage to Big Mom if he can use this technique again. Obviously, people are not going to like it because we've seen a Yonko commander try his hand at Big Mom and wasn't able to accomplish a thing. But I think the entire purpose of this technique is so that Luffy can learn how to deal damage to Kaido. Big Mom would be much the same, so if he does it at all, it seems like it would work. So here's the thing, guys. I think that power scalers out there are going to need to reevaluate how they power scale, because I think that things are changing, and this may be another way in which we could potentially criticize some of the recent chapters. Honestly, guys, what is the significance of Luffy having both future sight haki and this force haki ability? How rare is it? Who possesses this capability? Is it just the Yonko? Do some Yonko commanders have both of them as well? Does Katakuri have the force haki, or is his haki just harder? Is his armament just better than Luffy's? All of these things we just don't know for sure. And I think that it would be better and more impactful if we knew. So for example, let's take Queen. What kind of advanced haki does Queen possess? At this point, we don't know. We don't know whether he has future sight haki. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We don't know whether he has forced haki or not. But he fought Big Mom and he was absolutely demolished. He wasn't either fast enough or strong enough to do anything to her. It didn't seem like he could predict her moves or that mattered. It's quite possible that having both of these advanced kinds of haki it puts Luffy on Yonko level. And think about how hyped that would be. That's like one of the defining moments in a shonen when you become strong enough to be able to compete with the very top tiers. But if that is something that Luffy is very close to being able to achieve, after mastering both types of advanced haki, at this point, we just don't know how much, we should care. How much of a difference these things really make. If Luffy all of a sudden jumps to the ability to deal a significant blow on a Yonko, right now we're not at a stage in which we can appreciate that. So going back to Queen, let's say that he has force haki. So given the opportunity, he could actually deal some damage, however insignificant, to a Yonko, but he does not have future sight haki. Maybe both of them would be necessary in order to actually compete with the Yonko. The future sight is necessary in order to be able to dodge them, in order to be able to evade them, and then the force haki to actually do something to them. So this could actually make some sense, right? Luffy has Gear 4th, which gives him incredible physical attributes, maybe not on the level of a Yonko, but it seems pretty up there in terms of both speed and strength. You couple that with both advanced kinds of haki, the one that allows him to evade and dodge and predict the Yonko, and the other one to do damage to her. You could actually see Luffy deal a blow to a Yonko. But if this is something that may actually happen in the next couple chapters, I don't think that we're in a situation right now where we really appreciate all the steps that led up to that. Because right now, we don't know what separates the Yonko from everybody else. I think that there's just too much unknown right now to fully appreciate these power-ups or these fights. But yeah, as always, time will tell. We'll see what Luffy will or won't be able to do. I just think that it's really weird for him to finally have started to master this form of haki, which is supposed to do damage to a Yonko, and for him to not at least get in one insignificant hit that does some damage. And I guarantee you guys, if that happens, there will be a lot of rabbling within the community. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much all I had to say today. As always, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.